They told you the story was finished. They closed the book with a resounding thud, the sound of finality echoing in the hollow chambers of your heart. They wrote the end on a chapter that was never theirs to write. And they pointed to the ashes around you as proof that the fire had consumed everything, leaving no trace of who you were or what you were meant to be. There was a consensus, a grim agreement in the silence of others, in the cold logic of your circumstances. The verdict wasn't canceled, concluded, forgotten. They looked at your name and saw only a footnote to a failed enterprise, a cautionary tale, a memory that was already beginning to fade. And you, my child, you started to believe them. You felt the ink of your own identity begin to run, to blur under the torrent of their judgment and your tears. You felt yourself becoming transparent, a ghost haunting the ruins of a life you once dreamed of. The silence from heaven felt like a confirmation of their verdict. You looked for a sign, a word, a whisper to contradict the noise. But you heard only the wind blowing through the broken structures of your hope. You thought I too had closed the book. You thought I too had turned away. But that is their story. That is the narrative woven from fear and limitation. Now, I will tell you the truth. Now, I will tell you what I was doing while they were busy composing your eulogy, while they were piling dust on the cover of your story. I was in the library of eternity, in the great hall of beginnings, holding the very volume in which your life is recorded. Their hands were never strong enough to close what I have written. Their words were never powerful enough to be the final ones. For you see, your name is written in the book of life, and it was not written with the fleeting ink of human opinion or the fading charcoal of temporary circumstance. It was written before the foundations of the world were laid, before the first star was kindled in the velvet darkness of space, before the mountains were raised or the oceans were poured. I knew you. I spoke your name into existence, not as a sound, but as a reality, a frequency of love that would forever be uniquely yours. I gathered the light of a dawn that no human eye has ever seen, and with it, I inscribed your name onto a page that cannot be torn, a page made from the very fabric of my eternal thought. They saw an ending. I saw the title page. They saw a period. I saw the ellipses that promised more to come. While they were mourning what they thought was lost, I was admiring the unbreakable seal I had placed upon your name long ago. What is the seal? You ask. It is not wax, easily broken. It is not a stamp, easily counterfeited. The seal upon your name is my very presence. It is the full weight of my love, the unyielding power of my purpose, the irreversible nature of my promise. It is a declaration that echoes through all of creation. This one is mine. This story belongs to me. This identity is anchored in my own, and it shall not be moved every time a voice rose up to declare you finished. That voice shattered against the silence of this seal. Every time a situation conspired to erase you, it found itself powerless against the permanence of this inscription. They were trying to scratch a diamond with a piece of chalk. They were trying to command the tide to retreat with a whisper. They were throwing pebbles at a fortress whose walls are eternity itself. They did not know what they were up against. They did not know that to erase you, they would first have to erase me. And that, my beloved, is an impossibility. Let us speak of the ink. They wrote their judgments in the mud, and the first rain of my mercy washed them away. They carved their opinions on the sand, and the first wave of my grace smoothed the surface clean. But the ink with which I wrote your name is different. It is composed of covenant. It is mixed with faithfulness. It is imbued with a love so pure and so potent that it is its own light source. Your name does not simply sit on the page. It shines from it. It radiates. In the darkest archives of human failure and despair, the page that holds your name is a source of inextinguishable light. Think of it. My child, while you are walking through the valley of the shadow of death, feeling faceless and forgotten, your true identity was blazing like a supernova in the heart of my reality. While you were accepting the label of outcast or failure, your true title was being sung by celestial beings who have known your name from its first inscription. The disconnect was never in your value, but in your perception. You were listening to the wrong broadcast. You were reading from a pirated copy of your life, a poorly translated version, edited by fear and disappointment. I want you to understand the depth of this. The world defines you by your last mistake, your most visible wound, your most recent defeat. I define you by your origin. I define you by the moment I first thought of you and smiled. That moment is a true anchor of your identity. Everything that has happened since every trial, every tear, every betrayal, every moment of confusion has not once put that origin at risk. Nothing can alter the moment of your divine conception in my heart. The book of life is not a simple ledger. It is not a cold, bureaucratic list of who is in and who is out. That is a human invention, born of a need to categorize and control. No, my book is a living tapestry. It is a vibrant, thrumming chronicle of souls woven into the grand narrative of my love. To have your name written in it is not an achievement. It is a statement of belonging. It is the ultimate declaration of family. It means your roots are not in the shifting soil of this world, but in the bedrock of my being. When they looked at you, they saw the storm. They saw the battered ship, the torn sails, the splintered mast. They prophesied its sinking, but I saw the anchor, unseen, deep beneath the waves, hooked securely into the floor of the ocean of my faithfulness. The ship could be tossed. Yes, it could be battered. Yes, but it could never be lost because its anchor, my child, holds. It has always held. It will always hold. You have felt the erasure so keenly. You have felt the world take its rough, abrasive tools to the essence of who you are, the gossip that sanded down your reputation, the betrayal that chipped away at your ability to trust, the failure that felt like a chemical solvent, dissolving your confidence, the loneliness that bleached the color from your world. I saw it all. I felt every scrape, every coarse rub of their disbelief against your spirit. And my heart ached, not because I feared you would be erased, but because I knew you were feeling the pain of the friction. But here's a secret that the enemy of your soul does not understand. The friction did not remove your name. It only polished it. The abrasive forces that were meant to wear you down to nothing have, in fact, been used by my paradoxical wisdom to burnish the letters of your name until they gleam. The heat of the trial did not melt the seal. It caused the imprint to become deeper, more defined. The very things intended for your destruction have been masterfully repurposed to become the instruments of your greater unveiling. They thought they were burying a seed. They dug a hole, placed you in the darkness, and covered you with the dirt of their final words. They walked away, satisfied that you would decay into nothingness. But they are ignorant of the laws of my kingdom. They do not understand the power I have hidden within seeds. They mistook a planting for a burial. They mistook the rich soil of my purpose for a common grave. They did not realize that the darkness they surrounded you with was the perfect condition for germination. The silence they imposed was the sacred quiet required for roots to take hold. The pressure they applied from above only forced your roots to go deeper into me. Your name, written in my book, is not just a noun, it is a verb. It is a seed of potential. It is a blueprint of destiny. And the season of your life that felt like an ending was, in truth, the necessary planting. You were not being discarded. You were being cultivated. I understand the confusion. You look back and you say, "But Lord, why the silence? If my name was secure, why did you not part the heavens and shout it for all to hear when I was being accused? Why did you not send fire to consume the lies that were being told about me? My beloved, my timing is as perfect as my love. To reveal something before its appointed season is to expose it to harm. A premature bloom is killed by the late frost. To vindicate you in the middle of their storm would have been to engage in their battle on their terms. I do not fight battles. I win wars. And this war for your identity was won before it began. When I first wrote your name, the silence was not my absence. It was my strategy. It was me allowing all the false evidence to be presented, all the lies to be entered into the court record of this world, so that when I finally present my truth, it will be the only evidence that stands. It will not just challenge their narrative, it will obliterate it. You have been in the cocoon. It has been dark. It has been constricting. You have felt your old form dissolving into an unrecognizable state. This is the process I call metamorphosis. To the outside world, the cocoon looks like a tomb. There's no movement. There's no sign of life. They tap on it and hear nothing. They declare it dead. But inside, in the secret place of my design, the most profound transformation is taking place. A creature designed to crawl is being re-engineered with the capacity for flight. Your name in my book contains the blueprint for your wings. So let us redefine this past season. It was not your erasure. It was your incubation. It was not your termination. It was your transformation. That the world saw a victim, but I was training a warrior. They saw a tragedy, but I was writing a prelude. They saw an end, but I was crafting a new beginning from materials they could not see. I call you now to lift your head. I call you to stop staring at the closed door they slammed in your face and to turn around, for I am standing here, and I have been here all along. And in my hands is not a book of endings, but the book of life. And I am opening it to the page where your name is written. I want you to see it as I see it. See the light that emanates from the letters. See the permanence of the ink. Trace with your spirit the curves and lines that I myself inscribe. Feel the texture of the page, woven with a promise that cannot be broken. This is your true identity. This is your reality. Any other name you have been called rejected, abandoned, worthless, finished is a forgery. It is a counterfeit signature on a document with no authority. The pain you felt was real. The loneliness was real. The despair was real. I do not dismiss your experience. I honor the courage it took for you to survive it. But I am here to tell you that your experience is not your identity. Your history is not your destiny. The scars you bear are not your name. They are simply proof that you have been in a battle and that you are still standing. They are marks of a survivor, and soon the world will see them as the marks of a victor. For today, let this be enough. Let this truth sink deeper than the lies ever could before you can walk into the new chapter. You must be fully convinced of the truth of the old one, the one that began in me before time. You are not an accident. You are not an afterthought. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a name I cherish, a story I am writing, a child I have eternally loved. Let the noise of the world fade. Let the echoes of their pronouncements die away in the quiet of your heart. Listen. Listen past the fear, past the doubt, past the memory of pain. Listen. Can you hear it? It is a gentle, constant, unwavering hum. It is the sound of my love surrounding your name. It is the resonant frequency of your eternal security. It is the truth of who you are, humming its song from the pages of my book. Rest in that sound. Let it be the lullaby that calms your weary soul. Let it be the foundation upon which you will rebuild your world. Your name is safe. Your story is secure. You are mine. Let us go deeper. You and I. Let us journey back to that moment of your inscription, for it holds the antidote to every poison you have been forced to drink. You have been told that you are a creature of dust, a temporary being whose life is but a vapor. And in part, they are right about the vessel, but they know nothing of the treasure it was designed to carry. They know nothing of the eternal spirit I breathed into you, the spirit that carries the signature of my own. The act of writing your name was not a silent, clerical duty. It was a symphony. When I thought of you, creation itself paused to listen. The stars leaned in. The ancient mountains held their breath, for a new, unique frequency of my love was about to be released into the cosmos. I did not use a pen. A pen is a separate object, a tool. I used myself, my focused intention. The beam of my infinite affection became the instrument of writing. The ink, as I told you, was my own faithfulness, but it was tinted with the specific color of the destiny I dreamed for you. It was laced with the joy I felt in anticipating your existence. Imagine a sound that is also a color, a word that is also a feeling. That is the language of the Book of Life. It is the native tongue of heaven. Your name, in that language, is not a simple collection of letters. It is a poem. It is a song. It is a declaration of such profound beauty and complexity that it would take you an eternity to fully understand its meaning. And you'll have that eternity. But for now, know this your name, as it is written in my book, contains the melody of your laughter, the resilience of your spirit, the depth of your capacity to love, and the blueprint of the glory you will one day fully inhabit. This is why the world's attempts to defame you always felt so jarring to your spirit, your soul, on a level deeper than consciousness, remembers its song, and when the world played a discordant, ugly tune of failure and rejection, your entire being recoiled. It was not just an insult, it was a violation of the sacred music that is you. The anxiety, the depression, the sense of profound unease you felt was your spirit recognizing a forgery, rejecting a false identity. It was, in itself, a sign of life. It was proof that the true you, the you whose name is written in light, was still alive and fighting underneath the rubble. Now, consider the books of this world. They are filled with dead, ledgers that record every fault, every deficit, every time you fell short. There are history books written by the victors, where the stories of the quiet, the gentle, and the faithful are trampled underfoot or omitted entirely. There are books of law, cold and unyielding, that measure you by your performance and find you wanting. You have been beaten down by these books. You have been judged by their standards. You have been made to feel that your worth is a number on a balance sheet, and that your number is in the red. My book is not like those. The book of life is a book of grace. It is not a record of your debts. It is a record of my investment in you. It is not a story of your perfection. It is a story of my devotion. It does not begin with your first mistake. It begins with my first thought of you. It is the one book in all of existence where you are known completely, and yet loved perfectly. It is the ultimate refutation of the lie that you must hide parts of yourself to be accepted. I see every page, every chapter, the ones you are proud of, and the ones you wish you could tear out. And I call the entire volume beloved. This is the truth that dismantles the fortress of shame. Shame tells you, if they only knew, they would reject me. My book declares, I have always known, and I have always chosen you. Shame is the voice of the accuser who has read the world's ledgers. Love is the voice of your Father who holds the book of life. You must choose which voice you will enthrone in your heart. Let's talk more about the seal, for it is your present-day defense. This seal of my presence is multifaceted, like a perfectly cut diamond. One facet is the seal of purpose. When I inscribe your name, I also inscribe the destiny. This purpose is woven into the very fabric of your being. The world, in its blindness, tried to assign you a different purpose to be a cog in its machine, to be a consumer, to be a quiet victim. The enemy tried to assign you his purpose to live a life of despair, bitterness, and unbelief. But none of these assignments could stick. They were like sticky notes applied to a surface that was divinely nonstick. Why? Because the seal of my purpose was upon you. It repels any destiny that is not born of me. The confusion you felt, the feeling of, this isn't right, this isn't me, was the seal doing its job. It was protecting your divine assignment from being overwritten by a worldly one. Another facet is the seal of belonging. This seal is a mark, visible in the spiritual realm. That declares your ownership. You are not a stray. You are not an orphan. You belong to the highest court in the universe. This is of monumental importance. It means that any force that comes against you is not just coming against you. It is coming against me. It is trespassing on my property. It is challenging my authority. You have often felt you are fighting your battles alone, a single, weary soldier against a legion. This is the illusion the enemy works so hard to maintain. The truth is, the moment any dark force laid a hand on you, it triggered an alarm in the throne room of heaven. The battle was never yours alone. It has always been mine. My silence was not indifference. It was the calm confidence of a king who knows the outcome is already secured. The final facet for today is the seal of promise. This seal is my personal guarantee that your story does not end in ashes. It is the pledge, signed with my own blood, that everything I have spoken concerning you will come to pass. It is the down payment of your inheritance. It is the engagement ring that promises a future wedding feast. This is why hope, even a flicker of it, could never be fully extinguished in you, even in your darkest night. Was there not a tiny, illogical spark that whispered, what if it's not over? That spark was not your own wishful thinking. That was the seal of promise, glowing in the dark. It was the homing beacon of heaven, reminding your spirit that your final destination is glory, not ruin. So you see, this entire time, while you felt vulnerable and exposed, you were, in fact, the most heavily protected person in the room. You were living in a spiritual fortress, lamenting the strength of the wind outside, not realizing the walls were impenetrable. Let's go back to the image of the planting. You felt the darkness, the crushing weight of the soil. You felt the isolation. This is what you must understand about the soil of my purpose. It is dark because deep work is not done in the glaring light of public opinion. It is done in secret, in the intimacy between the seed and the soil. The pressure you felt was not meant to crush you. It was the holy pressure required to crack open the hard outer shell of the seed, the shell of self-reliance, of pride, of your own plans. That shell had to be broken so that the tender, living shoot of your true self could emerge. You mistook the breaking for your own destruction. You thought you were falling apart, but I was orchestrating a falling together on a level you could not perceive. The weight forced your taproot, the primary root of your being, to stop searching for sustenance on the surface, from people's approval, and from success, from comfort, and to dig deeper into the soil of who I am, down past the dry topsoil of religious platitudes, down past the rocky layers of disappointment, until you hit the deep, hidden aquifer of my unconditional love. You are forced to find your water in a place no drought can touch, no circumstance can drain. The pressure was a gift. The darkness was a mercy. The isolation was an invitation into a deeper communion with me than you had ever known. This is why your prayers felt different. You are no longer praying from the surface. You are beginning to pray from the deep. You are no longer just asking for a change in your circumstances. You are crying out for the sustenance of my presence. This is the most profound shift that can happen in a human soul, and it often requires a season of being planted. And my silence, let me give you another image. Imagine a master weaver creating a magnificent tapestry. If you were to stand on the underside of the loom, all you would see is a chaotic mess. You would see tangled threads, knots, colors that seem to clash, random looking stitches. It would look like the work of a madman. You might cry out, "Master, what are you doing? This is a mess. You have made a mistake. You have forgotten this section. It is all wrong, but I'm not on the underside. I am the weaver. I see the tapestry from the top. I see the grand design. I see the face of your beloved, the landscape of your destiny, the intricate patterns of my grace emerging with breathtaking beauty, my silence when you cry out from underneath. Is not me ignoring you. It is the sound of my focused concentration. It is the whirring of the shuttle as I move with speed and precision, weaving the dark threads of your pain together with the golden threads of my redemption. To pause and explain the design to you mid-process would be to halt the work. I had to keep weaving. I had to trust that you would trust me. And even when all you could see was the mess, the day is coming, my child, when I will cut the tapestry from the loom and turn it over. And on that day, you will see the underside no more. You will see what I have been making all along, and you will fall to your knees, not in supplication, but in awe. You will see how every dark thread of sorrow was necessary to create the depth in the eyes of the portrait. You will see how every jagged knot of confusion was essential to the texture of the mountainside. You will understand. So stand up now in your spirit. Leave the underside of the loom. Come and stand beside me. Look at the book. See your name. Feel the seal. Understand the planting. Trust the weaver. This is the foundation. We cannot build the skyscraper of your future on the sinking sand of your feelings or the world's opinions. We must build it on this, the bedrock of my eternal, unchangeable, and utterly devoted love for you. Breathe it in. Your name is not a candidate on a ballot, hoping for votes. It is not an applicant in a pile, waiting for approval. It is a landmark. It is a settled fact. It is a cornerstone of my creation. All of heaven recognizes it. All of hell fears it. It is time for you to honor it. And so you stand upon this rock, this foundation of your inherent, unshakable value in me. You have felt the truth of the seal. You have understood the safety of your name. But now, a new question arises in your heart, a tender, bruised question that you are almost afraid to ask. You look back at the landscape of your life, at the scorched earth, the broken ramparts, the years that feel lost, and you whisper, I believe you, my Lord. I believe my name is safe. But what about the story itself? What about the pages that were filled with so much pain, if the title is secure? Why is the content so scarred? What was the point of all that suffering? You have looked at your past as a liability. You have seen the chapters of trial as something to be endured, moved past, and hopefully forgotten. You have felt that your testimony was somehow tainted by the sheer amount of struggle it contained. You have seen the stories of others, those who seem to glide through life with ease, whose pages seem filled with sunshine and simple victories. And you have felt that your own narrative was a dark and convoluted tale, perhaps even a source of shame. You have thought, my story is too broken. My pain is too much. Who would want to read this? Oh, my beloved child, if you could only see as I see, if you could only read from my perspective. You have been looking at the most powerful part of your story and calling it your weakest. You have been holding the source of your greatest authority and calling it your deepest shame. Today, I want to talk about that story. I want to talk about the ink. You assume, as the world does, that the stories in the book of life are written with some generic, celestial ink, an ink of light, perhaps, or an ink of gold, and for some, whose paths are gentle. That may be so, but for my chosen ones, for the ones I am shaping into pillars in my temple, for the ones whose stories will echo through eternity as testaments to my relentless grace, I use a different kind of ink, a rarer ink, an ink that cannot be manufactured, but must be forged. I use the ink of your experience. Every tear you cried when you thought no one saw, I did not let a single one fall to the ground and evaporate into nothingness. I gathered them. My child, I collected them in a bottle as a promise keeper, and I distilled them into a sacred fluid. This is the ink of authenticity. It is a silvery, translucent ink that carries the salt of your sorrow and the light of your sincerity. When I write with this ink, the story becomes real. It becomes vulnerable. It sheds all pretense and speaks directly to the hidden pain in other hearts. A story written without the ink of tears may be impressive, but it can never be truly compassionate. It can never say to another broken soul, I understand. I have been there too. Your tears, which you thought were a sign of your weakness, have become the very substance that allows your story to heal others. They are the solvent that dissolves the pride and isolation in those who will one day read your life. Do not despise your tears, spies. They have given your story a voice that can whisper through any wall and bring comfort to any prisoner of pain. And what of the fire, the crucible of affliction, the relentless heat of trials that you thought would surely consume you? You felt the flames lick at your faith. You felt the core of your being burn with a heat you could not have imagined. You emerged from that furnace, smelling of smoke. Your old certainties turned to ash. You thought the fire was a punishment, an attack, a sign of my displeasure. But I, my child, am the Lord of the fire. I was in that furnace with you, and my purpose was not to destroy you, but to refine you. And as the fires burned, I was doing something miraculous. I was creating the ink of purity. The heat burned away the impurities, the pride, the fear, a reliance on your own strength, the love of the world's comforts. It left behind only what was genuine, only what was eternal. This ink is like molten gold. It is thick, radiant, and carries an inner fire. When I use it to write the chapters of your testing, the words themselves seem to glow in the dark. This ink writes the story of your resilience. It chronicles the moments where you chose to trust me when it made no sense. It highlights the times you said, I still believe, when your feelings screamed, it's all a lie. A faith that has not been tested by fire is a faith that cannot be trusted. Your story, written in this fiery ink, has become a testament to a faith that is real, a love that is pure, a strength that is not of you, but of me. Your story now has weight. It has substance. It has the unmistakable glow of having passed through the heart of the refining flame. And then there's the most precious ink of all. It is the rarest, the darkest, and the most potent. It is the ink I use to write the turning points, the climaxes, the moments of utter surrender that change everything. It is the ink of sacrifice. It is the color of deep burgundy, the color of lifeblood. It is distilled from the moments you laid down your own will. It is made from the blood, sweat, and tears of your obedience when it cost you everything. Every time you chose forgiveness, when your flesh screamed for vengeance. Every time you chose to serve when you felt empty. Every time you laid your most cherished dream upon the altar, trusting that I was enough. Every time you bled out your own desires, your own timelines, your own understanding, and said, "Not my will, but yours be done." These moments of sacrifice, my child, are the most sacred verses in your entire epic. This ink writes the story of covenant. It writes of a love that is not a feeling, but a decision. It proves a loyalty that goes beyond convenience. You thought these moments were you losing. You thought you were giving things up. But in my kingdom, the law of the harvest is absolute. A seed cannot bring forth life unless it falls to the ground and dies. Every sacrifice you made was a seed falling into the soil of my purpose. And the ink created from it is what gives your story its unshakable power. It is the ink that testifies not just to my faithfulness, but to your love in return. It quiets the accuser more effectively than any other, for he has no answer to a love that is willing to sacrifice. He is an expert in the language of selfishness. The language of sacrifice utterly confounds him. Now compare these sacred inks to the common ink of the world. The world writes its stories with the cheap, flashy ink of fleeting success. It is an ink that looks bright for a moment, but it fades under the first glare of trouble. It is superficial. The world writes with the watery ink of untested opinion, full of bold declarations that have never walked through a fire. It writes with the invisible ink of hypocrisy, where the public story bears no resemblance to the private reality. Your story is different. It is not a cheap paperback. It is a leather-bound classic, written with inks of eternal value. It is heavy in the hands of those who hold it, because it is weighty with reality. The pages are tear-stained, fire-singed, and marked with the costly ink of sacrifice. And that is what makes it a masterpiece. That is what makes it holy. Stop looking at the scars on your story and start seeing the ink. In my book, the chapter of your deepest trial is not titled The Great Failure or The Time of Abandonment. I have given it a true name. Perhaps it is called The Forging of the Warrior's Heart, or maybe The Song That Was Born in the Night, or perhaps The Unflinching Trust. I and all of heaven read this chapter with reverence. The angels lean forward, mesmerized by the drama. They see the moment you were about to give up, but didn't. They see the choice you made in the dark, when no one was watching but me. They see the integrity that held you fast when everything else was crumbling. To them, this is not a story of sadness. It is a story of profound victory. It is a live demonstration of the power of my grace in a fragile human vessel. Your story has become required reading for celestial beings who are learning the deeper dimensions of my character through you. You have been a living epistle, my child, a letter written by my own hand for all the universe to read. And the most compelling passages were written with the ink of your pain. Why was this chapter necessary? You still ask this, and it is a good question. It was necessary because a sword that has never been tempered in the fire will shatter in the first real battle. I am making you a sword in my hand, and you had to be tempered. It was necessary because a leader cannot lead people out of a wilderness they have never experienced. Your pain has carved empathy into your soul, allowing you to become a safe place for other hurting people. You are now qualified for a level of ministry you could never have attained on a path of ease. It was necessary to silence the accuser. The enemy's great charge against me is that my children only love me for the blessings, that their faith is shallow and self-serving. He points to them and says, "See, take away their comfort, and they will curse you." Your life has been my answer. Your endurance, your trust, your stubborn refusal to let go of me in the midst of your pain has been my roaring rebuttal in the courts of heaven. You, in your struggle, have brought me more glory than 1,000 easy victories ever could. Your story has proven that my love is more valuable than life itself, that my presence is more desirable than comfort, and it was necessary for you. You thought you knew me before. You knew me as creator. You knew me as provider. You knew me as a distant king. But through this, you have come to know me in a way you never could have otherwise. You now know me as comforter, as your shield, as the friend who sticks closer than a brother, as the fourth man in the fire. You have gained an intimacy with me that is the most valuable treasure in all of existence. The trials were the terrifying, sacred doorway into the throne room of my heart. I had to allow the stripping away of everything else, so you would discover that I alone am enough. And that discovery, my child, has made you eternally rich. So I invite you today to a new practice. I want you to go back in your memory, not to relive the pain, but to relabel the ink. Find a moment of profound sadness, a time you wept until you had no tears left. Hold it up to the light of my truth and whisper, "This was the ink of authenticity. Through this, my story gained a heart." Find a memory of a trial so hot it almost melted you. See it again, but this time, say, "This was the ink of purity. Through this, my story gained its strength." Find a sacrifice that broke your heart, a dream you had to release into my hands, and revisit it gently and say, "This was the ink of sacrifice. Through this, my story gained its power and proved my love." When you do this, you will stop being a victim of your past and become a steward of your story. You will see your life not as a collection of unfortunate events, but as a divinely authored manuscript. The pain does not disappear, but its meaning is transfigured. The wounds are still there, but like mine, they become a testimony of love, a source of healing for others. Do not be afraid of your story anymore. Do not hide its scarred pages. They are the most beautiful part. They are the pages that prove my power is made perfect in weakness. They are the pages that will bring hope to the hopeless and company to the lonely. Your testimony, written in these sacred, costly inks, is one of my most prized possessions, a jewel in my library, a song I will have the angels sing forever. Embrace it. Own it. For the time is coming when I will ask you to read it aloud. You have accepted the rock of your identity. You have embraced the sacred ink of your story. You feel the foundation solidifying beneath your feet. And yet, a shadow lingers. a ghost memory that still has the power to chill your soul. It is the memory of the silence, or it is the echo of the void. You remember the nights, stretching into weeks, the weeks into months, the months, perhaps, into years, where the heavens were like brass. You cried out, and your words fell like stones into a bottomless well. You searched for a sign, a whisper, a flicker of light in the oppressive darkness, and found nothing but the cold, indifferent stars. This silence, my child, was perhaps the most agonizing trial of all. The fire purifies, but at least it is a feeling, a presence. The accusations of the world are painful, but at least they are a noise you can identify and fight against. The silence, however, was a vacuum. It was a negation. It felt like the ultimate evidence of your abandonment. It was the one weapon the enemy used that you felt you had no defense against. For how can you fight against nothing? How do you wage war against an absence? In that silence, the darkest lies took root. He has forgotten you. He has moved on. Your sin was too great. Your failure was final. He was never really there at all. You felt yourself untethering from all hope, drifting alone in a cold, infinite space. You have come to believe that this period of silence was a dead space in your story, a lost chapter, a time when my pen was still and your page lay blank and unattended. Today, I will pull back the curtain. Today, I will let you hear the sounds that were hidden behind the silence. I will show you the pages that were being written when you thought the book of your life was closed and gathering dust on a forgotten shelf. For the silence you experienced was not an emptiness. It was a holy sanctuary. It was a soundproof chamber where the most delicate and powerful work of your life was being done. A work that required absolute concentration. A work that could not be exposed to the contamination of the world's noise or the enemy's interference, while you heard nothing. My workshop was resounding with the sounds of creation on your behalf. Let me show you the first set of pages I was writing in that secret place. This is the chapter I call the Unseen Shield. While you were feeling your most vulnerable, you were in fact under my most intense protection. While you lamented my absence, I was your ever-present bodyguard, standing between you and dangers you never even knew existed. You remember the sudden, inexplicable urge you had to turn left instead of right on a certain day. That was me, your unseen chaperone, steering you away from a calamity the enemy had prepared just around the corner. You remember the business deal that fell apart at the last minute, the one that broke your heart and made you feel like a failure. That was me, your divine gatekeeper, slamming a door that led to a pit of vipers, a partnership that would have destroyed your integrity and stolen your soul. You recall the whispers of gossip, the slander that was being spread to ruin your name. You only heard a fraction of it. You have no idea of the war I waged in the unseen realm to dismantle those campaigns. You saw a few arrows of accusation fly your way. You did not see the thousands I caught midair. You did not see the tongues of the accusers that I confounded, the plots I sowed with confusion until they turned on each other and their plans imploded. I was your silent defender, your invisible advocate. I was fighting for your honor in courts you could not see. long before the verdict would ever be announced in the physical realm. The enemy of your soul is not a fool. He is a strategist of destruction. He laid traps for you, intricate and subtle, designed to exploit your deepest wounds and your secret fears. He saw your loneliness and prepared a counterfeit comfort, a relationship that would have been a beautiful prison. And just as you were about to step into it, I created a distraction, a delay, a coincidence that moved you out in the path of that snare. You felt it as a frustration, an annoyance. You saw it as another thing that didn't work out. I saw it as a triumphant rescue. During that long silence, I was your advanced scout, your reconnaissance, going ahead of you into your own future. I saw every ambush, every landmine, every potential pitfall, and I worked tirelessly, rerouting your path, dismantling threats, and clearing the way. Your journey felt slow, confusing, and full of inexplicable detours and delays. You thought you were lost, but I was guiding you on the safest possible route, even if it was a long way around. The silence was the sound of my concentrated effort as I cleared the path. Now, let me show you the next chapter I was writing. It is a thick one, full of complex diagrams and notes. This is the chapter I call the forging of the vessel, while you felt stagnant and unproductive. I was engaged in the most profound work of all the remaking of you. You were a vessel, but you were not yet strong enough to contain the blessings I had planned for you. To pour a new, potent wine into an old, brittle wineskin would be to destroy both the wine and the wineskin. The silence was the kiln. The quiet was the fire, where I began to bake the clay of your character until it was hard and resilient. In the silence, when no answers came, you were forced to develop patience. It was not the passive patience of just waiting, but the active, muscular patience of trusting me in the midst of the unknown. This patience is a rare and priceless virtue, and it can only be forged in the crucible of delay. While you felt you were doing nothing, you were becoming patient in the silence when your own strength failed and every human support was removed. You were forced to learn true reliance upon me. Your self-sufficiency, which you wore as a badge of honor, had to be ground into dust. You had to come to the end of yourself, to the absolute 0 point, so you could discover that my grace truly is sufficient, that I am your strength. You felt weak, helpless, and broken. I saw a vessel being emptied of its own sediment so that it could be filled with my power. While you felt you were losing everything, you were gaining the greatest strength of all, the strength of surrender. In the silence, when you were stripped of your titles, your reputation, your roles, you were forced to find your identity in my love alone. You had to learn that you are not what you do. You are not what people say about you. You are not your successes or your failures. You are my beloved child. That is your core. Unchanging identity. The stripping away was painful, like a surgery without anesthetic. But it was a surgery to remove a cancer of false identity that would have eventually killed your spirit. The silence was the recovery room where I healed you from that surgery and taught you your true name. Every day you endured. Every morning you got out of bed when despair told you to stay down. Every prayer you whispered into the void, believing even just 0.1% that I might hear you. These were the moments I was strengthening the fiber of your soul, You thought you were unproductive. My child, you were building the spiritual muscle, the character, the integrity, and the humility required for the weight of the glory I have prepared for you. I could not give you the keys to the kingdom until I had forged in you the character of a king. Finally, let me show you a third chapter, perhaps the most bewildering of all. It looks like a chaotic map of the world, with lines and arrows and names moving all over the page. This is the chapter I call the divine realignment. While you were staring at the closed doors in front of you, I was working on a global scale behind you, preparing your future. The silence was the sound of me moving all the pieces on the grand chessboard of your life into their perfect positions. You saw rejection. I saw the removal of a person who would have betrayed you in the next season. You saw a missed opportunity. I saw the merciful closing of a door to a path that was a dead end. You saw a financial loss. I saw me cutting away an anchor that was tying you to a place I was calling you to leave. I was working on the hearts of people you had not yet met across the world. I was shaping your future friends, your divine connections, your loyal allies. I was giving them the experiences they would need in order to understand and support you when you finally met the person who will open the critical door for you in the next season, 10 years ago. During your silence, I was healing their heart from a past wound so they would be ready for you. The community that will become your home 5 years ago, I was bringing them together, weaving their lives into a tapestry that had a space perfectly shaped for you. You felt your life was in chaos. It looked random, disjointed, and meaningless. But from my vantage point, it was a symphony of divine choreography. I was the master conductor, tapping my baton, and the silence you experienced was the sacred pause before the crescendo. It was the deep breath the entire orchestra takes before the thunderous, glorious chord is played. This is why the secrecy was so vital. If I had shown you the blueprint, you would have tried to help me. You would have run ahead, tried to open doors I had closed, tried to connect with people before their hearts or yours were ready. Your best intentions would have disrupted the delicate timing of the entire operation. And if I had shown you the blueprint, the enemy would have seen it too. He would have focused his attack on the very people and places I was preparing. My silence was a shield, not just for you, but for the entire future I was building for you. It kept the construction site hidden from the enemy's demolition crews. And finally, the silence was necessary for you, for the development of your faith. Faith is the evidence of things not seen. If you could see everything, you would not need faith. The silence was the gymnasium of your spirit. It was the training ground where your faith, by being stretched to its breaking point, grew strong, resilient, and powerful. You now possess a quality of faith that is rare and precious. A faith that can withstand storms because it has been proven in the terrifying calm of the void. So look back now at those silent years. Do not see them as a wasteland. See them with reverence. See them as your secret garden, your holy kiln, your divine workshop. They were the most productive years of your life. The silence was not the absence of my love. It was the sound of its most intense and focused application. It was a sound of me fighting for you, forging you, and preparing the world for you. It was the quiet hum of the engine of creation, working in the dark to bring about the dawn that is now about to break upon your life. The silence is over. Now, listen closely. A new sound is beginning to rise. The silence has been broken. But what is the sound that replaces it? It is not a sudden cacophony, not a jarring alarm. It is a sound so profound, so holy, that at first you may mistake it for a deeper kind of silence. It is the sound of a page turning in the book of life. It is the rustle of cosmic parchment, a sound that reverberates through all of creation, signaling a shift in seasons. It is the sound of my attention, once hidden in the secret workshop, now moving to the public square. It is the sound of a great and solemn announcement being prepared for everything. My child, there's an appointed time, a time to plant, and a time to uproot what was planted, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to be silent, and a time to speak. You have known the time of planting in darkness, the time of weeping in isolation, the time of enduring my silence. You have honored these seasons with a faith that has brought joy to my heart. But now, the celestial clock has struck a new hour. The season of your hiddenness is officially over. The time to speak has come, and the first one who will speak is me. The work done in the secret place is complete. The vessel has been forged. The shield has been tested. The path has been cleared. The story has been written. A masterpiece is never created to be kept forever in a locked vault. A king is not anointed to remain perpetually in exile. A seed does not fight its way through the dark soil, only to stop just beneath the surface. Now is the time of the great unveiling. Now is the time of the breakthrough. Now is the time when your name, the name I have protected and polished, the name whose story I have written in the most sacred of inks, is about to be read aloud. Picture it. I call the courts of heaven to session. The great hall of eternity, which was once the scene of your silent forging, now becomes a theater for your public revealing. The audience is vast, comprised of every being, seen and unseen. The angelic hosts who watched your struggle, who marveled at your endurance, who warred on your behalf in the unseen realm they are gathered, their faces alight with anticipation. They are here for the victory celebration. They are here to see the result of the faith they so admired. The accuser and his legions are here too. They are not here by invitation, but by summons. They are compelled to attend. The voice that whispered lies into your ear during your darkest nights. The power that orchestrated circumstances to crush your spirit. The enemy who presented his case against you day and night. He is here now, silenced, forced to be a witness to his own undoing. He who delighted in broadcasting your failures is now mandated to listen to the proclamation of your triumph. And on the earth, the spiritual atmosphere shifts. The hearts of men and women are the audience. Those who wrote you off, those who judged you, those who misunderstood your motives, those who dismissed you as insignificant, their spirits are being prepared to hear a new report. Some will hear it with joy and repentance, realizing their error. Others will hear it with confusion and envy, but all will hear it. The narrative they created about you is about to be officially, divinely, and permanently overturned. I, the author and the finisher, the Ancient of Days, stand before this great assembly. I open the book. It does not creak with age, for it is timeless. It radiates a light of its own. I turn the pages, past the stories of patriarchs and prophets, past the epics of apostles and martyrs. And I find your chapter, the chapter titled with your true name, the chapter whose ink still glows with the fire of your trials and shimmers with the silver of your tears. And then a hush falls over all of creation, and I begin to read. What do I read? I do not read a list of your sins. Those were blotted out and forgotten long ago, nailed to a cross and washed away by a tide of mercy. To read them now would be to dishonor the very covenant that seals your name in this book. No, I read the story as I have written it. I begin with your origin, your first inscription. I speak of the joy that filled me when I first thought of you. I declare your eternal, preordained identity as my beloved child. I silence, from the very beginning, the lie that you are an accident or an afterthought. Then, I read from the chapter written in the sacred inks. I read of your resilience. I describe the battles you fought in the dark, the moments you chose faith over fear. My voice gives honor to your choices. The universe hears of the night you chose to forgive, when every fiber of your being screamed for bitterness. The heavens are told of the day you gave generously when you had almost nothing for yourself. I recount the times you stood for truth, even when your voice shook. I am not reading a story of your perfection. I am reading the far more glorious story of your faithfulness in the midst of your imperfection. I am testifying to the power of my grace in your weakness. As I read, the ink itself seems to come alive when I speak of your tears. A wave of empathy and compassion flows from the book, teaching the listeners the true meaning of mercy. When I speak of the fires you endured, a radiant heat emanates, showing all the reality of a faith that has been purified. And when I speak of the sacrifices you made, the deep burgundy ink of covenant glows with such intensity that it testifies to a love that is stronger than death. The accuser shrinks back from this light, for it is a light he cannot endure. Then I turn the page and read from the chapter that was written in my silence. I reveal to the assembled universe the hidden works. I describe the unseen shield, recounting the specific calamities you are spared from. I show them the traps the enemy laid and how I disarm them. There are gasps of awe from the angelic hosts as they realize the extent of my protection over you. I then describe the forging of the vessel, explaining the divine purpose behind every moment of pressure, every season of waiting. I hold up your character, now shining like burnished gold, as a trophy of my grace. Finally, I read from the chapter of divine realignment. I reveal the grand, intricate choreography I was orchestrating across the globe on your behalf. The closed doors, the painful goodbyes, the confusing detours they were all explained. The listeners see, for the first time, the breathtaking wisdom behind what looked to you like chaos. They see the people I was preparing, the places I was making ready. They see that your life was never a series of random events, but a masterfully conducted symphony. And when I have finished reading the story, I close the book and I speak your name aloud, your true name, the name that captures your essence, your destiny, and your purpose. I speak it with the full creative power of my voice. and as your name is spoken. It becomes a decree. It is a divine declaration of who you are, once and for all. And with that declaration, the old narrative written by the world is not just challenged, it is erased. It turns to dust, and it's blown away by the wind of my spirit. The truth of who you are is established as an eternal reality. Now, it is vital that you understand the nature of this moment. Your human heart, wounded and bruised, might be tempted to see this all at the moment of revenge. You might imagine your detractors being shamed and humiliated, but that is not my way. My justice is not like human revenge. Human revenge seeks to repay pain with pain. It is rooted in bitterness and pride. My justice is rooted in love and truth. Its purpose is not to crush, but to restore. It is not to humiliate, but to set things right. Your vindication is not about bringing them down. It is about me lifting you up to your rightful place. I will not honor your story by adopting the petty, vindictive spirit of your enemies. I will honor it by demonstrating a higher way. The revelation of your true story will serve not to condemn them, but to bring them to a place of decision. It will be a light that exposes the darkness of their judgment. And in that light, they will be offered a chance to see, to understand, and to change. Your restored life will be the most powerful sermon they have ever heard on the nature of my faithfulness. Your vindication is ultimately about my glorification. My name is glorified when my promises are proven true in your life. How will this proclamation manifest in your world? Do not look for a disembodied voice from a cloud. Look for my voice speaking through circumstances. Look for the sudden opening of doors that have been sealed for years. Look for the phone call you never expected, the offer that comes out of nowhere, the opportunity that has your name written all over it. This is me reading your story, aloud through the language of favor. Look for a shift in the hearts of people. You will find that individuals who misunderstood you suddenly see you with new eyes. They will not know why, but their perception of you will have been divinely altered. People who were your adversaries may suddenly become silent, or may even be moved to seek your forgiveness. This is me reading your story, aloud through the language of a relational restoration. And most importantly, you will find my proclamation in your own mouth. A new authority will rise within you. The timidity and uncertainty that plagued you will be replaced by a quiet, solid confidence when you speak. Your words will carry the weight of your history with me. They will be infused with the wisdom of the silence and the power of the sacred ink. People will listen, not because you are loud, but because your words will resonate with the frequency of truth. You yourself will become the living, breathing proclamation of your story. Your life will be the evidence. The time for hiding is over. My child, the time for apologizing for your existence is over. The time for shrinking to fit into rooms where you were never meant to stay is over. The curtain is rising. The stage is set. I am calling you to step into the light. Do not be afraid of the visibility. I have prepared you for it. The purpose of this proclamation is not to make you a celebrity, but to make you a lighthouse. Your story, now read aloud, will become a beacon of hope for countless others who are still lost in the dark, who still feel the sting of erasure, who are still languishing in the silence. They will see you. They will hear your story. And they will know that I am faithful. They will look at you and realize that their own name might also be written in the book of life. Stand up, straighten your back, lift your head. The King is about to speak your name. The proclamation has been made. The sound of my voice has echoed through the heavens and reverberated in the secret places of the earth. The truth of your identity, story, and purpose has been established, not as a future hope, but as a present reality. The dust of the old accusations has settled, and the air is clear, filled with the clean, bright light of my truth. You stand in this new light, and for the first time, you are breathing the atmosphere of your true home. But I know your heart. My child, I see the question that is forming there, a question born not of doubt, but of sincere desire. You are looking from this holy proclamation to the practical reality of your daily life. You are looking at the well-worn paths in your mind, the deep grooves of old habits, the muscle memory of fear and inadequacy, and you are asking, Lord, I believe you. Oh, my soul rejoices at the sound of your voice. But how do I live this? How do I walk down the street as this person you say I am? How do I answer the phone with the voice of this restored one? The ghost of the person I used to be still lingers in my mirror. How do I live from the reality of the book of life when I'm still living in this world? This is the most important question for this new season. It is the question that bridges the gap between divine revelation and human experience. You have been given a new identity. And now I'll teach you how to live from its authority. Authority. Let us reclaim this word from the world's distortion. The world thinks of authority as power over others, as domination, control, and pride. The authority I give you is not that at all. It is not a weapon to wield against other people. It is the divine right and the inherent power to be fully and unapologetically who I created you to be. It is the spiritual jurisdiction you have to govern your own life according to the laws of my kingdom, not the laws of your past or the opinions of others. Think of it this way. An ambassador sent to a foreign land does not speak with his own authority. He does not offer his own opinions. He speaks with the full backing and power of the government he represents. When he speaks, it is as if the king himself is speaking. His words carry weight not because of his personal charm or intelligence, but because of the kingdom that sent him. You, my beloved, are now an ambassador of the kingdom of heaven. Your name, written in the book of life, is your official credential. You are no longer a refugee begging for scraps. You are an emissary carrying a royal decree, or think of a royal heir. A prince does not have to strive to earn his place at the palace dinner table. He does not have to perform to gain access to the throne room. His access is his birthright. His authority is inherent in his identity. He walks the halls with a quiet confidence because he knows he belongs there. Your name in the book is your divine birth certificate. It proves your lineage. You belong in the presence of the King. You have a right to the resources of the kingdom. Before this revelation, you lived your life from a different place. You lived from a place of deficit. You operated from the assumption that you were not enough, so you spent your days striving to prove your worth. You collected achievements like badges to cover up the gaping hole of insecurity in your soul. You said yes when you meant no, because you feared disapproval more than you valued your own well-being. Your life was a constant, exhausting performance designed to win the applause of an audience that was never fully satisfied. You lived by permission. You waited for others to validate you, to tell you that you were smart enough, gifted enough, or holy enough. You looked to people to give you the permission that I had already given you. You treated the opinions of others as if they were the binding verdicts of a high court, while ignoring the declaration of your Father who had already pronounced you worthy. You were an heir living like a servant, waiting for instructions from other servants, while the King, your Father, was waiting for you to simply come and talk with him. And most painfully, you lived from the womb. Your past hurts were the lens through which you saw the world. You made decisions based on the fear of being hurt again. You interpreted neutral events as personal rejections. You sabotaged opportunities for love and connection because the risk of betrayal felt too great. The wound was on the throne of your heart, and its every whisper of fear was your command. That is the old way. We honor the journey. We acknowledge the pain. But today we serve that way of life in eviction notice. A new government has been installed in your heart, an authority based not on deficit, permission, or wounds, but on the unshakable truth of your name written in the book of life. So how do you walk in this authority? Let us make it practical. First, you must exercise the authority to define your reality. Your mind is a sacred space, a garden. For too long, you have allowed the enemy and the world to sow weeds of doubt, fear, and self-hatred there. No more. The authority of your name gives you the right to be the gatekeeper of your own mind. When the thought comes, you are a failure, you no longer have to entertain it as a possibility. You have the authority to slam the gate and say, no, that's a lie. I am not a failure. I am a child of the Most High God, whose name is written in the book of life. The King has read my story, and he calls it a triumph. I agree with him. This is not positive thinking. This is divine alignment. It is using your God-given authority to bring your thought life into agreement with heaven's reality. You must become ruthless with lies. Do not debate with them. Do not tolerate them. You are the governor of your inner world. You have the authority to veto any thought that contradicts what your Father has declared over you. Practice this every hour. When a fear-based thought comes, challenge it. Fear. You have no jurisdiction here. My Father has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. You must go. When a thought of shame appears, confront it. Shame! You are an illegal immigrant in this holy land of my mind. The blood of the covenant has paid my debt. You have no claim on me. This is your first and most important sphere of governance. Second, you have the authority over your past, your history, with all its pain and glory, has been repurposed. It has become the sacred ink of your story. It is no longer a weapon to be used against you. It is a testimony to be declared for my glory. Therefore, you have the full authority to close the case file on your old self. You can officially declare the investigation over. When the accuser tries to bring up an old failure, you do not have to relitigate the case. You have the authority to simply say, that case has been settled in a higher court. The verdict was forgiven and forgotten. The file is sealed by the blood of the Lamb. We are done here. This means you can stop punishing yourself. You can stop replaying your mistakes in an endless loop of regret. The authority of your name gives you the right to accept the pardon I have already given you. To refuse to forgive yourself when I have already forgiven you is a form of pride. It is telling me that your judgment is higher than mine. Receive my forgiveness as a settled reality, and then exercise your authority by walking in it. Let the past be the foundation, not the ceiling. Let it be the source of your wisdom, not the source of your bondage. Third, you will walk in a new authority in your relationships because your core need for belonging and value is now met in me. You are liberated from needing it from other people. This will revolutionize how you interact with everyone. You are free to love people without needing them to love you back in a certain way. You can give without keeping a hidden ledger of what you are owed. You can listen without formulating your defense. This authority also gives you the power to set healthy boundaries. Before, you may have been afraid to say no, fearing it would lead to rejection or abandonment. But now you know that your ultimate belonging is secure. This gives you the freedom to say no with grace and without guilt. A boundary is not a wall to punish others. It is a fence to protect the sacred space of your own heart and your calling. You have the authority to protect what I have entrusted to you. You are no longer a doormat for the world to wipe its feet on. You are a temple of my spirit, and you have the right to decide who and what you allow inside. You will find that as you walk in this relational authority, the healthy people will respect you more, and the unhealthy people will either be forced to change or they will drift away. This is a divine sorting process. Fourth, you have the authority in your purpose. For years you may have been waiting for a sign, waiting for someone to discover you, waiting for the perfect conditions. The waiting is over. Your authority as an heir of the kingdom gives you the right to take holy initiative. You do not need to wait for a booming voice from heaven to go and be the love of God to your neighbor. You do not need anyone's permission to start writing the book, composing the song, building the business, or starting the ministry that I have placed in your heart. Your authority allows you to co-create with me. Look at your world. What breaks your heart? What problem do you see that you have a passion to solve? That heartbreak. That passion that is my invitation. That is your sphere of influence. Step into it. Take a small, faithful step. Your authority is not a sledgehammer to smash down every obstacle at once. It is a key. Use it to open the first door. Behind that door will be another, and the key will work there too. You will be amazed at how I will come to meet your faithful initiative with my supernatural provision. Stop waiting to be anointed. You have been anointed. Start walking like it. Finally, and this may be the most difficult for you to grasp, you have the authority to rest. The life of an orphan is one of frantic, anxious striving. The life of an heir is one of confident, peaceful trust, because you know who you are and you know who I am. You can cease from your own works. You can let go of the need to control every outcome. You can rest. This is not laziness. This is an active expression of faith. It is a declaration that you believe I am who I say I am, and that I will do what I say I will do. Exercising the authority to rest means you can lie down in peace at night, even when your circumstances are not yet perfect. It means you can take a Sabbath, a day to delight in me and my creation, trusting that the world will not fall apart if you stop holding it up for a day. This rest is a powerful form of spiritual warfare. It demonstrates to the enemy that your trust is not in your own efforts, but in my finished work. I know this is new. The old mindset will not go quietly. It will rage against this new authority. It will call you arrogant. It will whisper that you are an imposter. When this happens, do not be discouraged. See it as a confirmation that you are on the right path. Every time you choose to act from your new authority instead of your old wound, you are strengthening a spiritual muscle. It will feel awkward at first, like learning a new language, but soon it will become your native tongue. Soon, walking in the authority of your name will feel as natural as breathing. This authority is your inheritance. You did not earn it. You cannot be disqualified from it. It is a gift of grace, flowing directly from the fact of your name, written in my book, sealed by my love. So today, my child, I invite you to take up your scepter. It is not heavy. It is custom made for your hand. Take your rightful seat at my table. Begin to govern your world from a place of love, peace, and quiet confidence. The life of an heir awaits. You are standing now on new ground, breathing new air. You have begun to govern your inner world, to walk in the authority of your true name. You have felt the weight of your new scepter in your hand, the quiet confidence of the heir replacing the anxious striving of the orphan. You have come so far from the ashes of what seemed like a final ending. You have journeyed through the revelation of your eternal identity, the redemption of your painful past, the understanding of my silent work, the glory of your public vindication, and the reality of your present authority. It has been a journey from being the subject of the story to the steward of it, but I am a God of perpetual forward movement, of ever-deepening relationship. The destination you have arrived at is not a final resting place. It is a new starting gate. It is the beginning of the most exciting and creative phase of your existence. Everything up to this point, every trial, every lesson, every deliverance has been your training. It has been your preparation for the ultimate invitation. You have known me as your author. You have seen how I have written the secret chapters and preserved your story. Now, I invite you into a new relationship. I invite you to become my co-author. Take a moment and let the weight of that word settle into your spirit. A co-author, not a puppet whose strings I pull, not a passive character who is simply moved from scene to scene, not a servant who only follows a list of dictated commands, a partner, a collaborator, a fellow creator, and invited to sit at the great desk of eternity with me, to dip your pen into the ink of my grace, and to write the future chapters of your life together. This is the maturation of the soul. The journey begins with me as your rescuer, your father finding his lost child. It progresses with me as your teacher, instructing you in the ways of the kingdom. It solidifies with me as your king, bestowing upon you an identity and authority. But its glorious destination is me as your partner, your most intimate friend, trusting you with the pen, delighting in the story that we will now consciously and deliberately create as one. For too long, you have thought of my will as a rigid, pre-written script that you must discover and then act out perfectly. You have lived in fear of missing it, of taking a wrong turn and falling off the single, narrow path I had ordained for you. This view of my will is born of fear, and it reduces our vibrant, living relationship to a stressful test of your ability to guess correctly. It is time to let go of that exhausting paradigm. My will is not a single, brittle path. It is a vast and beautiful country. There are many roads that lead to the heart of it, many rivers of purpose that flow to the great ocean of my glory. My desire is not that you would perfectly guess the right road, but that you would learn to walk with me, your hand in mine, on whichever road we choose together. The joy is in the journeying with, not in the flawless execution of a preset map. The co-authoring relationship liberates you from this fear. It is a relationship of dialogue, of shared dreams. Let me show you how it works. The process begins with our shared vision. This is the plot outline. A good story needs a theme, a central purpose. And so, you and I will meet, not just so you can present me with a list of your needs, but so I can share my heart with you. In these times of quiet communion, I will not hand you a to-do list. I will show you my dreams. I will let you feel what breaks my heart in the world around you. I will give you glimpses of the potential for beauty, healing, and restoration in your sphere of influence. And as I share my heart with you, a holy desire will be kindled within you. Your desires will begin to align with mine. You'll start to dream my dreams. The question is no longer, what do I have to do? But rather, my love, what glorious story do we want to tell with this one life you have given me? This is the beginning of all great works, a vision born of intimacy. Once the vision begins to form, I hand you the power of the pen. The pen I'm giving you is your will, your power of choice, now sanctified and empowered by my Spirit. Every day, you hold this pen. Every decision you make is an act of writing. You are writing your story, verse by verse, paragraph by paragraph. Whether you are conscious of it or not, when you wake in the morning, you hold the pen. Do you write a sentence of gratitude, setting a tone of grace for the day, or do you write a sentence of dread, beginning the chapter with fear when you interact with your family? You are writing. Do you write paragraphs of patience and unconditional love, or do you scribble anger, hasty notes of judgment when you handle your finances? You are writing. Do you author a story of generosity and trust in my provision, or a story of hoarding and fear of lack when you speak about others? You are writing. Do you write a narrative that blesses, covers, and restores, or one that tears down and divides? See your life this way, and every moment becomes an opportunity for holy creativity. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the co-author of your response. Your choices are the words you are putting on the page. And I'm asking you now to write consciously, write with intention. Write the story you want to be told about you in eternity. Write a story that reflects the character of your senior partner. When you begin to see your life as a manuscript, you are actively creating with me. The sense of purpose infused into even the most mundane tasks is astonishing. Making dinner becomes an act of writing a story of nourishment and family. Completing a task at work with excellence becomes writing a sentence of integrity. Forgiving an offense becomes writing a heroic verse of grace. You are always writing. Now, write for my glory. Within this partnership, I give you immense creative freedom. This is your unique narrative style. I did not save you to turn you into a colorless, lifeless robot, a carbon copy of someone else. I created you with a unique personality, a specific set of gifts, a quirky sense of humor, a distinct way of seeing the world, and I delight in it. I want you to bring your full, authentic self to the writing table. Do not try to write your story in the style of someone else you admire. If I have made you a poet, do not try to write a legal brief. If I have made you a musician, do not force yourself to write in spreadsheets. Bring your gifts, your passions, your very essence to the process. The story we write together will be one that could only have been created by the unique fusion of my divine spirit and your human spirit. This is why comparing yourself to others is the ultimate act of creative theft. It robs the world of the unique story that only you and I can tell. So be bold. Be you, your authentic self, surrendered to my spirit, is the greatest creative tool you possess. Of course, in any great writing partnership, there is an editing process. This should bring you profound peace. You are a co-author, but in each I am the senior author and the master editor. You are going to make mistakes. You will write clumsy sentences. You will sometimes get writer's block. You will occasionally write a paragraph that veers completely off plot. Your human fallibility is a given, but here's the beauty of our partnership. I am not a harsh critic. When you write something that is not in alignment with our shared vision, I do not rip the page out and throw the book in the fire. I do not shame you or fire you from the project. No. I gently lean over with my arm around you and I say, "That's a good first draft, but I think we can make it better. Let's look at this together." My conviction is not condemnation. It is the collaborative suggestion of a loving editor. My correction is not punishment. It is redirection. The red ink I use is the ink of grace, which does not stain the page, but rather miraculously transforms your clumsy words into prose of divine beauty. The pressure for perfection is gone. You are free to try, to risk, to create, knowing that your editor is also your greatest fan, and that his grace is the ultimate safety net. Your job is to write, to be courageous, to fill the page. My job is to edit, to redeem, to sanctify, and to ensure that the final story is a masterpiece. And who is this story for? You are writing for an audience of one. And you are writing for the multitudes. Your primary focus, your driving passion, should be to write a story that brings a smile to my face, to live a life that is so full of love, trust, and courageous faith that I, your senior partner, read the daily pages and say, "Well done. This is a beautiful story. This is a life that brings me glory. But here's a wonderful paradox when you focus on writing a story that pleases me. It will inevitably become a story that heals the world. The story of your life, co-authored by us, will not be a private journal. It will be published. It will be placed in the great library of humanity as a testimony. Your children and your children's children will read the story of your faithfulness and be inspired to write their own. Your community will see the story of your integrity and be changed by it. Generations you will never meet will be touched by the legacy of love you and I have written together. Your life becomes a living book, a gospel according to you. That demonstrates my goodness, my power, and my relentless grace to a world starving for a better story. So look before you. The pages of your future are blank. They are not yet written. The past is a finished chapter, now used as a reference and a foundation. But the future is an expanse of clean, white parchment. It is pregnant with possibility. The pen is in your hand. It is not heavy, for my hand is on yours. The inkwell of my grace is full to the brim. It will never run dry. I am seated beside you now. The light of my love is on the page. The whole of heaven is leaning in, waiting to see what we will create. The old life of reaction is over. The new life of conscious, divine co-creation is beginning. It is an adventure of the highest order. It is the greatest honor I can bestow upon a child. So, my beloved co-author, take a deep breath and let the peace of our partnership fill you. Let the thrill of the creative process excite you. Look at me, and let me see the smile of anticipation in your eyes. What story shall we write today? And so, here we are, my beloved co-author, seated together at the great desk. The future spread before you like a clean, white page. You have the vision in your heart, the pen of your will in your hand, the authority of your name as your license, and me, your eternal editor and partner. By your side, you have everything you need to write a story of breathtaking beauty and purpose for the remainder of your days on earth. But even as you embrace this incredible invitation for your life now, I see a final, faint shadow that can, at times, trouble the hearts of even my most devoted children. It is the shadow of the final page of your earthly life. It is the fear of the end. The world has taught you that death is a full stop, a termination, a descent into nothingness, or, at best, a terrifying unknown. It has taught you to fear the closing of the book. Therefore, as our final instruction in this great unveiling, I must draw your eyes upward and forward, beyond the horizon of your mortal life, into the endless landscape of eternity. For the story we are writing together does not end. The book of life is not a biography with a final chapter. It is an eternal document, and your story within it is a living, breathing, unending narrative. Your last breath on earth is not a period. It is a comma. It is a holy pause before the grandest plot twist of all, the transition from writing in the confines of time and space to writing across the open plains of eternity itself. I want you to understand the eternal echo of your name, as it is written in my book, is not static ink on a page. It is a living sound. It is a note, a specific, unique frequency of my own creative voice that has been released into the cosmos and will never be silenced. It is a resonant chord that vibrates with the memory of your trials, the triumph of your faith, and the testimony of my faithfulness in your life. This sound, your unique sound, has been woven into the great symphony of heaven. Without your note, the music of eternity would be incomplete. You are not just a spectator in the heavenly choir. You are a vital, irreplaceable voice. Your name is an eternal echo in the halls of my heart. When I speak your name, all of heaven is reminded of my character. Ah, yes, they will say, that is the one who was forged in the fire of great affliction and came out shining with my glory. That is the one who learned to trust in the suffocating silence. That is the one whose story proves that my grace is sufficient for all things. Your life, your story, becomes an everlasting testament, an eternal exhibit in the museum of my grace, teaching angels and future generations the depths of my love and the power of my redemption. Let me paint a picture for you of that moment of transition, the moment that the world calls death. It will not be a moment of fear for you. You will not face a cold, impersonal judge or an uncertain void. The very moment your journey on earth is complete, you will simply look up and see me, your co-author, your father, smiling, with my hand outstretched. You will hear your name spoken, not in a loud proclamation as before, but in the familiar, intimate tone I use when it is just the two of us. And it will be a call not to judgment, but to come home. It will be the ultimate homecoming. All the vague longings you have felt your entire life, the sense of being a stranger in a strange land, the deep, nameless ache for home you couldn't remember, it will all make sense. You will step out of the confines of time and into the reality you were always made for. And the first thing you will feel is not disorientation, but the profound, soul-settling relief of finally being home. I will then take you into the great library of heaven, and I will take down a specific, beautifully bound volume. You will recognize it instantly, for it will radiate with the light of your own spirit. It is your book, the book of your life, and I will open it with you. But this time, you will not be reading it as a student, but as a celebrated hero of the tale. Together, we will read it from my perspective. You will finally see the whole tapestry. You will see the underside no more. You will see the full story of the unseen shield. And you will weep with gratitude as you witness the thousands of dangers I protected you from that you never knew existed. You will see the full complexity of the divine realignment. And you will laugh with joy as you understand the perfect love and wisdom behind every closed door and painful detour. And as we read the chapters written in the sacred inks, you will not feel the sting of the pain, but only the glory of the outcome. You will see your scars as I have always seen them, as radiant emblems of honor. And you will not be alone. You will begin to notice others gathering around, their faces shining with love and recognition. This is the great cloud of witnesses, the family of faith. You will meet the saints you have only read about, the heroes of the faith who were, in fact, cheering you on from the grandstands of heaven your entire life. And you will meet the everyday, faithful souls, your ancestors, the ones who prayed for you before you were born, and you will see your place among them, a treasured member of this vast, eternal loving family. There's a seat reserved for you at the great feasting table, and your arrival will be a cause for celebration. And what of the story we wrote together? Its earthly chapters may be complete, but its purpose is just beginning. Your book will become part of the curriculum of heaven. Angels, ever desiring to look into the mysteries of my grace, will study your story to understand my heart in new ways. Newly arrived souls will read the story of your life and find hope and courage for their own. The ripple effects of your faithfulness, your generosity, your love, co-authored with me on earth, will continue to spread throughout eternity. You will see the full impact of your life. You will see the souls that were saved because of your testimony, the chains of generational sin that were broken because of your choices, the gardens of love that grew from the tiny seeds you planted. You will finally see what I saw all along, that your small, seemingly insignificant life had a massive, eternal significance. And does the co-authoring in Numbering My Beloved? It only expands. Our partnership is not for a season, it is for eternity. Heaven is not a static, boring retirement home. It is the center of my creative universe. It is a place of endless adventure, of new worlds to be explored, of new songs to be sung, of new dimensions of my love to be discovered. The story goes on. And you, my trusted, proven, beloved partner, will be by my side, co-creating with me for ages upon ages, free at last from all sin, sorrow, pain, and fear. The joy you have known on earth is but a thimbleful of the ocean of joy that awaits. This is your destiny. This is the truth of your unending story. It is sealed, settled, and secure. So I say to you now, as you live out your remaining chapters on this earth, live with a holy freedom. The pressure is off. You cannot fail in a way that will change this glorious outcome. You cannot make a mistake so great that it will cause me to rip up the final pages of the book. Your eternal destiny is the safest thing in all of creation because you are so secure. You are now free to be magnificently generous. You are free to love courageously. You are free to risk greatly for the sake of my kingdom. You are free to pour out your life like a drink offering, holding nothing back, because you know that your true life, your real treasure, is kept safe with me. Live with your eyes on eternity. Write the remaining pages of your earthly story as a prelude to the glory that is to come. Make them beautiful. Make them bold. Make them full of me. And now, my child, breathe. Just breathe. Let all the striving cease. Let all the complex thoughts recede. Come away from the epic scope of your story and simply rest here, in this quiet moment with me. Feel my presence surrounding you like a soft, warm blanket. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing you need to prove. The work has been done. The victory has been won. All that remains is for you to rest in my love. You are held. You have always been held in the darkest night. Underneath all the pain and confusion, my arms were there. They are here now. Let go of the burdens you have been carrying. Let go of the need to understand it all. Place your head upon my chest and listen to the rhythm of my heart. It beats with a steady, unwavering, unending love for you. It is the truest sound in the universe. The dawn is coming, not a harsh, glaring dawn, but a gentle one, full of soft pinks and quiet golds. It is the dawn of your new day, the beginning of your life lived in the peaceful knowledge of who you are. The lies of the night are fading. The fears that look like giants in the dark are revealed to be nothing but fleeting shadows. You are my beloved, before all else. This is who you are. If you forget everything else I have told you, remember this one thing. You are my beloved child, and I am exceedingly proud of you. Rest now. Rest in my peace, which transcends all understanding. Rest in my love, which will never let you go. Your name is safe. Your heart is safe. Your future is safe. You are safe. All is well.